Welcome back to the Fearless Females Voice podcast. On this episode, I'm joined by my friend Bushra Akhtar. Bushra grew up being a star student in school and had many different interests. Through her love of art and design, she started her own property company. She started off networking with other like-minded entrepreneurs, and from this, she learnt to read people and become more aware of different types of personalities. She eventually met the right people who she clicked with that helped her with growing her business. On this podcast, she talks about her journey of entrepreneurship, the highs and lows of business, tips and advice for others going into this world, and her transition into her current role where she works in a corporate company. Without further ado, let's get stuck in. So Bushra, what does being a fearless female mean to you?
So I've had to think about it, and it is quite a difficult question to ask because I guess being a female encompasses quite a lot of things. But if I was to sort of sum it up for me, I guess being a fearless female is, knowing yourself, knowing what you want, or taking the time out to figure out what you want and need in life to feel fulfilled and happy, and then going out to pursue it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not feeling the fear, because you might go and pursue these things whilst you're feeling afraid, but you still go ahead and you continue to do it, regardless of how you're feeling about it and what's going on around you.
I like that. That's nice. So why don't you tell the listeners a bit about yourself?
Okay, hi, I'm Bushra. I don't want to reveal my age.
She looks like she's in her 20s. That's the main thing.
I am currently working in the tech data space.
So what did you do before that?
So before working for the current company I'm working for, I actually ran my own business for quite a number of years. So I was working in the lettings space. So I ran a business which managing co-living spaces. So I used to create these spaces, and I had quite a number of tenants I used to manage. At the same time, I also was looking at planning, and I'm still doing that at the moment. So I was looking at small scale developments, and I'm currently sort of building my own home as well at the moment. So yeah.
That's exciting. How's that all going?
It's going well, actually. Yeah, I've got up to foundation levels, and I'm moving on to stage 2, which is getting walls and roof up. So it's taking shape. At the moment, it's still looking like a naked plot, but it will get there. Like anything in life, you just got to give it time and throw money at it.
Make sure you send me some progress pictures, yeah?
Yeah, I will definitely.
Nice. So what made you get into property then? Is that something you've always been doing?
Yeah, I've always had an interest in property. In fact, I've always been quite a generalist. Always had an interest in quite a lot of things, which has been a bane of my life in a way, because when you like lots of things, the problem is, how do you choose what you want to specialize in? And everyone says eventually you have to pick something and specialize it. And I've gone through life not being a specialist. So one of the things that I really do enjoy is art and design and things. And I did very well in school, surprisingly. People don't know that about me, that I was quite a star student in my school days when it came to art and design. And it's always been in me. So property was a way of, releasing that, and that passion that I've got. So it was great. When I did start my own business in property, one of the things that I did to help with improved profit margins was interiors. I found that, that passion I have for art kind of helped with that, and I was able to do it all myself. So it's been great, and it's a great thing to be doing. I mean, property is something that we all have to know about anyway, as part of life. It's one of the essential, things that we actually need to survive, to have a roof over our heads. So it's not a bad thing or area to know about.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot to learn about it, things that we don't quite learn in school. So it's just kind of you ask a friend and ask a friend's friend or a family member to help when the time comes to it. And so that could be anything. So from renting to buying to anything property related is
yeah, you're right. They definitely don't teach you at school. Yeah, it's the biggest. It takes up the biggest chunk of your finances, and you're expected to sort of figure it out yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going through the journey myself earlier this year, and when we were buying the flat, and I just didn't have a clue. So luckily, we had some good support from the solicitor and a couple of other people as well. So we got through it, but I actually didn't know what I was doing or what to expect. So some of my friends had been through it, so it's quite nice just to hear what they did. So that helped. But yeah, it's a bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah. But I mean, congratulations on buying your place as well.
Thank you. And then when did you start your business? Is that straight after school?
No, I actually went to university. So I did so after school, I went to college with A levels, went down the usual route, uni, and then a master's. So I did my undergrad in biomedical science, and then I did my postgrad in computer science. And then I went straight into, I guess, the world of work for a few years. But I just kind of found that there was something missing. It wasn't giving me what I needed to develop, and I couldn't figure out what it was and why until I moved to London. And I started to come across more entrepreneurs, and I realized that, from a development point of view, I kind of felt that everything I was doing in life was very much, within what we were expected. There's a model that we follow, and we're kind of expected to follow, yet there's a lot more that you can do outside.
What do you mean by this model? Because I think I know what it is, but what is your interpretation of it?
So it's like you're just breaking the mold a little bit. So you're expected to, I guess, go to school, go to get an education, go to uni, get a job, work for somebody else. But they're very reactive things. You're always reacting to something else, and as a consequence, there's things that you just don't develop within yourself. Whereas I guess something about being an entrepreneur that is that it teaches you to deal with uncertainty and be more be less reactive, more proactive. So you go out and you're more of a seeker and a go-getter. And it's that element that is brought out of me, and that's been quite useful and really helpful, and helped me grow as an individual and as a person. And I love that part about it. I mean, it's been one of the scariest things I ever did. And just not knowing when your next paycheck's going to come from. You've got to figure it out yourself.
Perks of working for yourself.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. But it's what makes you grow the most.
Yeah,
the biggest failures and the challenges that you have are what make you grow the most. And I think for me, I felt that I needed it at that point in life.
And what was the trigger moment? How did you get into thinking, right, I don't actually want to work for someone. I want to start my own business, and I want to work for myself and grow something?
I think it was just ongoing years of frustration. And I guess it happened fairly organically as well. When the last role came to an end, I just thought, you know what, I'm in a position where I actually am financially okay to give something a go. And that's when I just went for it and did it. it happened very organically. I didn't suddenly just decide to, I love it when I hear stories where people just go to their boss and say, right, I'm leaving.
I was hoping that would be your story. That would have been good for this podcast.
It was, yeah, I wish. No, I did it quite amicably. I think I delivered what I needed to deliver in the last role that I did. I was contracting or consulting anyway. And then I just thought, okay, now's a good time to just take a break, figure out what I need to do next, and then I guess just start. And at the time I happened to be around the right people as well, so I had the right groups of people around me, so it was a very good way of leveraging off their energy and the buzz that they had around them to actually launch. And that's the other important thing as well. I find that is finding the right people in your life as well to help you get to where you need. So if it is entrepreneurship that you want to go towards, then you need to find those kinds of people who are already doing it or trying to embark on that journey, so you can all work together and I guess exchange information and I guess experience as well, and have people to talk to for advice.
Yeah, it's almost that network.
Exactly, yeah. So everything kind of organically kind of came together, and it felt like a good place to just do my own thing at that time.
But at the time, thinking about, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to start my own business. How did you come up with your property business model, seeing as you studied biomedicine and also
Biomedical science
and computer science as well?
Yeah, I mean, I was working in banking for years, so it's not something you naturally go towards. I guess I was networking quite a lot. I was networking and I happened to stumble across property, and I was looking at strategies that don't quite fit the conventional model. So the conventional model is buy a house, rent it out, or live in it yourself.
Yeah.
And I've always been looking for things. I've always liked models which kind of like you think outside the box a little bit. So I ended up going to those types of networking places where I learnt. So I invested my own time and my own money outside of work to network in these groups, and that's how I came up with looked at what other people were doing and then came up with a strategy that would work for me. And one was a cash flow strategy, and one was how do I get on the property market strategy.
And even you saying you were doing a lot of networking, that alone can be daunting for a lot of people who are starting off, who may not have the confidence. As someone who's trying to get into business, maybe being in a room with other entrepreneurs, business owners who are kind of been there, done that potentially, or they're trying to make these connections as new on the scene type thing. So yeah. How did you find that initially going into these networking sessions?
I mean, I wasn't daunted about networking. I think you do stick out like a sore thumb when you're one of very few women in the room, and that's not, and you do notice it. I've got used to feeling comfortable with it, and you do notice it. I guess for some people it can be quite daunting. I think my motto in life has always been that, and the way that what life has taught me is that if you don't achieve your goal, the way that it makes you feel is a lot worse, a lot worse than actually going for, what is making you afraid to get there.
Yeah.
And it's that resentment of missing out on an opportunity that feeling is much worse than you going into that room and facing whatever it is you need to face to get to where you need. And I think if you that has always played in my mind, so I try my best to keep that and bear that in mind when I'm feeling afraid, and just try and do what I need to do.
I love it, and that's helped you get this far, so it's really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Good mentality to have.
Yeah.
So tell us then, how were your first few years in business?
So they were tough, actually, really tough. I got things horribly wrong at the beginning. And I was it was quite frustrating. Initially I decided, for example, to go down the route of working with other people and investing in them, and that didn't quite work out. There was lots I had to learn about the business world. I was so naive, and there's, I think you just don't realize is that, in the corporate world, you're quite protected. There's a filtration. There's a filtration process. People are interviewed. They are checked for their background, their integrity, etc. That doesn't happen in the business world, and that naivety came out, unfortunately, because I was coming across characteristics and behaviors I'd never ever come across before. And you know what? So be it. There were lessons I had to learn. It's all part of entrepreneurship. Is part of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that working with other people, or is this whilst you're trying to recruit for your own business?
Oh no, just working with other people. So you just don't. It's very difficult to figure out who people really are when you meet them, and I guess especially when you don't have a good range of experience of working with different types of people outside of the corporate world.
Yeah.
And I think that came into play because when I did invest in other people's projects and they didn't get delivered, it had, it was my money or my finances that were at risk. And and then they were things that I had to learn, that there are characteristics I need to look for, and I need to ask more questions. And one of the things that actually helped me was actually it's I don't know how quite to describe it, but it's almost like a way, a psychometric test, or a way of looking at people. So it was developed by a guy called Roger Hamilton, and he specifically, I think he used an old Chinese method of categorizing people in their journey in life.
Okay, interesting.
Looking at different styles of people, whether you're a very creative person, or whether you're quite analytical, or whether you are very much a people person, to figure out which industry you ought to be working in to make you happy, but also the stepping stones and phases that people are in life. So there's little zones. For example, people who are in a red zone, are almost like at the bottom of the step. They're not doing very, they're probably, the characteristics that they show is that they are not doing very well in life, and they're fading, or just probably failing to achieve what they need to achieve. And then you have all the mediocre stepping stones, where you have people who are maybe slightly higher up, they're maybe working at a managerial level, and then those who are basically at a very, very high level. You got your legacy people, you have the people like your Richard Bransons and so on, who are just literally just like operating at a much different level. And those hierarchies are quite important to understand. And I think once I started to study a little bit more about characteristics of people, etc., I think that helped that a penny moment dropped for me, and that helped me to develop a lot more, to figure out who I should be partnering with, not just from a skills point of view, but where they are in their growth stage as well.
Okay, so it's almost like your personality match who you would best kind of vibe with to help grow a business.
Exactly. And also what stage you as an individual are at as well, in your growth, and your own development as well. Pretty much like you would in the corporate world, but I don't know that you also need to be looking at the outside.
Interesting. So from there, did you then, after taking that test, you kind of realized the type of person you'd want to get involved in with business? So then whilst you were networking, or did you manage to find someone? Did you manage to kind of connect with someone from a business perspective?
So I managed to find some really good people to work with, and that's so one of the people that I did actually work with to launch the business in the initial stages, that worked quite well, and that's how we were able to get it off the ground, and able to share resources. But then over time you realize that you can systemize things as well. So and that helps as well. It means that from a systems point of view, you need less people. So that is something, you know, that you could do as well in your business to sort of help. But yeah, I came across some, you know, really good people from there onwards and started to be more selective in who I worked with. And that has helped to sort of help propel my business and grow.
Interesting. So it's good that you got that growth period in. And with recent events, with everything that's been happening with COVID this year, I know it's been quite a challenge for the property world. So I was initially renting, and I remember my landlord struggling to find people to replace me, because everyone's almost kind of moving home, as the trend is now working from home. So how has this year impacted your business?
It's been actually a really bad year. Funnily enough, do you know it's the year of the rat in the Chinese New Year, and it is meant to be a very bad year for a lot of us, according to that. So
I didn't know that.
If you're superstitious, yeah, apparently it was going to be a shit year anyway.
Well, there you go.
Regardless of what you did. Anyway, it has had a huge impact. Luckily, I've always had risk at the back of my mind when I'm running a business, and I always saw a flaw in my business model, and I'm also aware of cycles a business goes through. So COVID has had it's had quite a negative impact on my business and the property sector in general. So especially in London and the lettings market. And as a consequence, I had to make the hard decision of whether I want to stay in and go through the challenges, or decide whether I have done enough time in this sector or in this business to achieve what I needed to achieve and just close it down. And as I was retraining, and as I've said at the beginning, I've got quite a lot of interest. I was quite lucky that I was already retraining in the IT sector, just looking at new developments that have happened in the IT industry.
That's whilst you were in your business? So that's whilst you were running your business, so you just took a bit of okay.
Yeah, so I was
side
always
interest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I was learning how to code in Python. I was learning learning the new data science techniques that are out there, and the new techniques and developments that are happening in the data space. So I was quite fortunate that I was able to make a bit of an executive decision that letting this business go would probably be better for me at this stage in life and in the long run. And I closed it down, and luckily I'm now working for a organization. I'm managing a team of data analytics, and we're doing some quite cutting edge data science based work. So it was a move that paid off. But at the time, I guess I didn't know that I would get the role. But yeah, I took the decision to close the business down.
And since you were training or upskilling yourself in this area whilst you were running your business, did you already foresee that you would close the business? Did you have that plan?
Yes, I did actually see flaws in the business model, just because I happened to be lucky enough to work in credit risk for a huge bank. I used to once upon a time manage a £20 billion portfolio from a credit risk perspective. So I kind of understand, economical cycles and business cycles, and also business risks. And I kind of saw that there were eventually I would probably outgrow this business. And secondly, I just kind of felt that the model did actually have some flaws in it from a risk perspective. So I was organically just closing it down anyway. COVID has just been an accelerator. That's all. I mean, it was something that was going to happen anyway. It's just accelerated the process by maybe a year or two.
Okay, makes sense.
But I knew I was going to outgrow the business anyway, because I'd done it for about 4 years, and I pretty much achieved what I had to achieve with it, and it was difficult scaling it up as well.
Okay, so you were at that crossroads of, okay, do I stop now, or do I want to then continue on and then grow it, fix the flaws, fix the model? Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say you still have a passion for property? Because you initially went in, as you said, you were interested in arts and interior design. So that's kind of something that triggered your move into property. So would you say you still have that passion?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely do. The passion hasn't gone. I just because of where we are with COVID, and I guess where the economy is, the lettings market isn't the greatest at the moment in London. So I'm now focusing more on the development side. So I am actually, building a property and working on a small scale development, and that's probably what I will go and focus on a little bit more until basically I can see the economy, or at least the rental market, return to some sort of normality. And then maybe, I can take the decision to come back in if I want to, but the chances are I'll probably be enjoying what I'm doing so much that maybe there'll be a new idea spun out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
And there could be a new business coming. So
I'm
always keeping an open mind.
Good. The business doors are not closed. They're still open.
No.
Maybe something for the future.
Yeah.
So what was your transition like then? Because you went from running your own business, closing your business, and then moving back into a job, let's say a 9-to-5, running a team. So what's your transition been like from working to yourself to then working for someone else?
It's in some ways it's been a comfort. So you forget how hard you've been working when you're working for yourself, in the respect that the level of uncertainty and the risk you're taking on. So from that point of view, I feel like I can relax a little bit. And I mean, I know I've still got responsibilities to my team and my organization to deliver things, but from the perspective of I guess the not knowing where what's going to happen tomorrow, at least there's an element of like, I can relax a little bit and take a step back. So there's positives to it from that perspective. If you're in a phase in life where you just feel like that's what you need, then it's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with working for somebody else. And I guess there's other challenges that are coming as well as a consequence of working for somebody else, and I think also organizations are beginning to change as well, and they're recognizing the need for what they call entrepreneurship. So I think that my entrepreneurial background is actually adding a lot of value, and because the growth I went through during those years of running my own business, and I have come back into the workplace almost like a different person, and I view it as running a business as opposed to being an employee for some reason. And the decisions I make are very different as well.
Interesting.
So it's so I guess it's put me in. It's definitely different, and it's definitely more interesting coming in this time round, I'd say. But I guess in my soul there is the need to do something of my own eventually. So it'd be interesting to see how long it'll take before before I decide whether this is right or not. But for now, it feels right, like the right thing.
Yeah, it's in your blood. What were your key learnings then from your business that you've taken across to your current role?
Okay, so there's been lots of things that I have learned as an entrepreneur running my own business that I brought back into the workplace. And I mean, for example, when I when I'm given a task, I no longer just go ahead and do it. I'm questioning it, what I'm doing, and is it beneficial for the business overall? And also, I guess, the general management skills that I've gained as well from working with lots of different people and managing people, and managing tenants. So I was able to go in and manage, a team of 5 individuals. And I got thrown in at the deep end as well. And the work that we do is very, very technical. So, and very challenging from a deadline perspective. Like, we can't afford to drop the ball. So from that perspective, there's been a lot that, I've been, from that perspective, there's a lot that I was able to bring in from that perspective. But yeah, I'm not the same person anymore as a consequence of running my own business, even though I'm working for somebody else at the moment, which I'm sure I won't be for forever. I even in my role, I think like an entrepreneur, and I'm questioning, and I'm putting in new projects and things which will improve my, our team and my function, which will help the business grow. So I am operating at a much different level, I feel like, now.
Good. And you said that you have changed as a person. So what are those changes? How are you different now?
So I am a lot more proactive in the respect that, I'm not afraid to go out and do, and go and get what I need to get. And I guess as a person, I've grown a hell of a lot more than what I feel like I would have done had I continued to work for somebody else when before I embarked on this journey. So it's definitely, helped me, understand the world outside my workplace a lot more, and made me more streetwise. I'd say streetwise is something that you just don't learn at school or college, and you have to go out in the streets to learn it. And unfortunately, the corporate world does protect you from it.
Yeah.
You deal with all kinds of people, and that's what I think has helped the most. It's a different type of intelligence, I'd say, and it's definitely grown.
Yeah, I mean, you've had the confidence to not only start your own business and then move out of it to do something or pursue something that you're really interested in and have a passion in. Also, you moved to a new city. So you moved into London, not really knowing anyone. And that's how we first met, actually, because you moved into London, yes. I think probably just a few months before I did. So how we met, actually, Bushra and I, we met through this app called Meetup. So I don't know if you guys will have heard of it, but it's an app where there's different groups on Meetup, and you join a group that's best fit for you. So I think I joined one which was girls socializing or something along the lines of that. And I joined this group, and Bushra is the one who kind of created this Facebook group, or there was a Facebook group as well. And you pretty much put a post up saying, hi, if anyone's in West London, do you fancy meeting up? You moved here not knowing anyone. And I was like, oh, I've moved here, and I don't really know anyone either.
Yeah,
so,
I remember that. Yeah. Yes, I moved to Notting Hill. I remember. Yeah. I moved to Notting Hill, and I wanted to meet more girls who were more West London based. So I sent an invite around, opened it up to a group, with hundreds of people on there. And I guess that's what entrepreneurship does, because I didn't. There was a time when I would hesitate to do that.
I was going to say, it took guts to do that, and I saw you.
I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it because that's what working for yourself does. You don't overthink things.
Exactly. This is a prime example of what entrepreneurship does, because that's her way of networking. And I remember she set up a brunch in Notting Hill, and I turned up. There were about 5 or 6 other girls there. Mm-hmm. And from that group, I've kept in touch with you. We hang out, we see each other regularly, and it's been a great friendship. So since I've moved here, you've been pretty much there from the start of my London journey. And I remember just thinking to myself, oh, she seems really confident, really bubbly, really, really nice, friendly. And we just clicked. Just shows how much confidence you had to do something like that, put yourself out there and meet others. So it's pretty much similar to what you were doing in your business, and now with your work as well, dealing with different types of people.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's all good. So tell us then, Bushra, what's next for you?
What's next for me? Do you know what? I wish I knew the answer myself. So at the moment, I'm happy, in this role, because it's growing my technical skills and growing the geek in me again. And I'm delivering some exciting projects which will indirectly benefit society. So it's my way of sort of giving back.
That's good.
Because I'm now working in the research field, so yeah, it's a great thing to be doing whilst developing my skills as well and applying those. Yeah, so and I'm actually at a stage where I'm just trying to figure out what the next 5 years are going to look like. I think a lot of people who've, because of COVID, a lot of people have had to now change what they're doing, because it was very much an unplanned change. We were pretty much caught out, and we're having to sort of think, okay, so we thought things were going to be like this, now they're not quite like that, so what's next then? So I'm actually trying to figure out that question myself, believe it or not. Maybe I can come back again another podcast to let you know what the next 5 years are. But
that sounds good to me.
Yeah, but like a lot of entrepreneurs, or a lot of people, COVID has changed our plans, and we've had to rethink and revise.
Yeah, adapt to the changing world.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to women who are looking to start their own business?
So the advice I would give is somebody, I guess, who's looking in hindsight now. So in hindsight, what I would give to myself before starting off is that, maybe think about what it is that you want to do a little bit more clearly, and because whatever it is you are trying to do, it's going to take time, and you're going to have to stick with it for whatever X number of years, maybe anything from, I don't know, 2 to 5+ years. So is this an area you really can see yourself in for the long term? So for example, if you decide to go down, I don't know, the tech route, you got to understand that you're going to be in that area for the next 5 to 10 years, and you're going to have to really be developing your skills and really, really passionate about it. And you got to really know yourself, and understand that, is that something you can actually do? The other thing I would say is know yourself as well. That is quite important. Before you embark, know what your strengths and weaknesses are, what makes you, when you're doing an activity, just figure out from the day, just figure out what you've done in the last few months, or maybe your entire lifetime. What activities made you happy, and which ones caused you distress? The ones that are causing you distress are the ones to keep an eye out for, because there could be areas of weaknesses. They do say that you should work on your weaknesses and develop them, which is good, but sometimes it could just be the fact that you're just not designed for them, and maybe you need to partner or team up with somebody who can actually do those things better. So that's something to sort of keep an eye out for, just to be prepared for that. And I guess the other thing is, try not to overthink things too much. As I said, analysis paralysis. Try not to overthink it. Just take baby steps towards whatever it is you're trying to go towards. Even if you are over analyzing and you're feeling scared, just baby steps is all you need. You'll be surprised how much, like one little tiny step every day, how far you come at the end of the year. And I guess also, just really just enjoying the journey as well. Things will go wrong. There will probably be days when you're crying. I've cried quite a lot of times. Things will go wrong. Be prepared for it. Have some people around you who understand business, who can probably help you during those periods, and help you understand and break down what is going on, and so that you can sort of pick yourself up again and carry on. So that's quite important as well. But it's not going to be plain sailing, it's all part of the journey, it's all part of the fun.
Yeah.
So just go with it.
That's the reality, isn't it? It's things that we see on kind of social media, let's say, of people having the time in their lives, running a business, working 3-4 hours a week, or, earning a lot of money, but that's just not quite the reality all the time. So yeah, there's always ups and downs, and just, you got to grind and work hard.
Of course. And never stop learning. Never stop learning, never stop going to those network meetings, never stop meeting people, never stop taking lessons if you have to. Just keep doing it, but don't overdo it either. There has to be a balance. Action, there will be some learning you won't get from from a podcast or something unfortunately you have to learn by getting stuck in. And there's no way around it. So keep a balance.
Yeah, the best way to learn is to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's good. Right. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast today, Bushra. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
No, it's been great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Fearless Females Voice podcast. Be sure to join our Facebook group called Fearless Females and stay tuned for the next episode. Bye for now.